Hi, we're going to talk about the essential things you need to pack for a long haul flight based on decades and decades and decades of travel by me. I'm Abby, I'm a professional travel writer and blogger. I've been travelling loads and I've made all the mistakes there are to make. You don't need to. Come, let's chat. When it comes to carry-on bags for flights, you have two main options for your sizes. One is the smaller personal item that has to fit under the chair in front of you. And the other one is a hand luggage wheelie suitcase size, and that fits into the overhead locker. I've got lots of different types of these bags. I've got lots of reviews on the blog and here on YouTube. Everything that we're going to talk about as a long haul flight essential will fit into these two bags. So number one is this lovely thing. It's a small but smart looking rucksack that you can hold like this. It fits a laptop in, it's got padded straps here, it's smart enough to go to a business meeting, and it's got a front zip compartment here and sections inside the bag to help keep me organised. It will always be allowed on as carry-on luggage, so any total and utter essentials go in here. They're my other kind of favourite, so sometimes I have both, sometimes I just choose one depending on the trip, is this kind of suitcase. This is the Osprey Rolling Transporter 38 and it has its own video and review. But in essence, it's hard wearing, it's really waterproof. If when I get to my destination, this is going to be left on a sort of outdoor truck or in something for hours on end, even with my laptop and camera in, I know it'll be okay from the water and from the padding. So we'll call this the sleep section because if you're on a long haul flight, it's really, really useful to get some rest. I used to be, still am, a terrible sleeper. I definitely didn't easily fall asleep on the plane, and I found having my own sleep kit really, really helped. So if you think, oh, I just can't sleep on a plane, that's not for me, that's for someone else, stop that thought right now. It can be for you. You need to maximise your chances. Again, there's a whole article on the blog that talks about all the other things to do, but in terms of packing, here's what you need to do to make it more likely you're going to be able to relax and have a good flight. Number one, you really want to make sure that you can adjust your own temperature, okay? The inside of a plane can get very, very hot when you're sitting on the runway because the windows have to be open before takeoff. There can be very strong sunlight coming in and it can kind of cause a greenhouse effect. So you want to be wearing layers that you can take off if it gets hot like that, okay? There are overhead little air supplies to help cool you down, but really you want to be able to rely on yourself. And then the reverse is true. The higher and higher you get, the colder and colder the plane gets. Some places, particularly in business class, you might be given a blanket or a duvet, but a lot of flights have done away with this altogether. And so you need a few things to help keep you warm. And first and most obviously is a jumper or sweater or jersey or sweatshirt, depending on where you are in the world. And there's two big options for this. A very big, like this one, very slouchy, almost look so long, thing that's almost like a dressing gown, okay? You can wrap it around your legs, you can snuggle up. It's lovely and cozy and warm, and I travel so many places with this. It does double as a dressing gown. The trouble is, of course, it's a little bit bulky and there's no zipped pocket. So my next thing to recommend to you is not all that fashionable, but very, very, very practical, and that is a fleece. So with a fleece like this, it's thin fabric, but it keeps you very warm. It's closely fitted and it has zip-up pockets, okay? I tend to not wear, in fact, it's a good idea not to wear your favourite clothes when you travel because things can easily get spilt by other people, cabin attendants. You never know what you're going up against and who's going to see you anyway, so just make it useful, I think, when you travel. The zip pocket's really handy for little things. When you get tired and confused, you could put your earphones in here, perhaps your keys, cough sweets if you need them, anything that just stops stuff falling out when you're going to queue and go to the toilet in the middle of the night or you're jet lagged or confused. Fleece can really help. So that's your jumper arrangement. Next up to keep warm is some socks. Okay, again, even if you're going from two hot places, then a pair of socks can make you much more comfortable and more likely to fall asleep. These are the warmest that I can find. I bought them when I was going to travel to the Arctic Circle and they worked there, but I still actually pack them for most long haul flights I take. Next up is how to block out the light. Okay, so sleep mask. Really, these, I don't find you get much more benefit with anything fancier than this, okay? In fact, it might even be one that was given out by an airline. It's very thin. This one is adjustable. That's as fancy as it gets, with a Velcro strap at the back. And the idea is that you put it on during the flight like this. You know, that's as good as it gets. See? It's going to mess up your hair, but it will really, really help you sleep. And as a double bonus, it lets people know you're trying to sleep. So that if you're sat next to somebody a little bit annoying and they won't be quiet, or if the cabin crew are coming along, then they might not disturb you if you're wearing one of these. So it can be useful for that. Then if you are wanting to be woken up for food, just make sure you let the cabin crew know before you put these on. So you've blocked out the light. Now you need to block out sound to also help you get to sleep. 2 ways of doing this depending on how you get on. The first one, the most obvious one, is earplugs. Okay, if you haven't seen these before, you can buy them for pence at a local pharmacy. You squeeze down the foam part like this first, nice, and roll it into a point, and then you pop it in your ear and then hold it. You need to hold it really for 2 or 3 minutes whilst the foam, it's weird recording when I'm doing this at the same time. The foam will then expand and it'll fit your auditory canal, okay? I don't get on with these very well. They often fall out for me and they bug me a little bit with the extra noise, but I still find them helpful during the flight. The other thing that I found really helpful when I can't get to sleep is to put my headphones in and listen to a program that's quite boring, or one that I already know, or particularly I've found an app called Sleepstream, and it will play things like the rush of the waves of the ocean or the rain landing on a roof. And the good thing about the Sleepstream app is that it's got a timer. So if you do fall asleep, you're not going to run all your battery down when you're already asleep, okay? So I would highly recommend that. This might just be me. Something scented, because I find really all the senses can stop me getting to sleep. So if it's a smelly place, which, let's face it, if you're spending 24 hours with the same people and you've been in a hot destination, somebody on that flight is, you know, not going to smell very fresh. So I've found this little forehead thing. It's a little cream. You can rub it on here, and it's kind of got that eucalyptus pepperminty effect, and it smells nice, and it gets a nice rush of blood to the skin here, and it can be quite soothing. And I also sometimes travelled with Hall's mentholyptus. It's like a cold remedy, but it's just those sweets that aim to clear your nose and throat, because again, inside the plane can get quite dry, quite uncomfortable, and so this has a double effect in that it can clear your airways and it smells nice if people around you don't. I put all of these in this little packet. There's nothing fancy about this. Really, any chemist will sell all kinds of toiletry bags, and I really recommend that you have one for each section. And more than that, I recommend that you make it as bright and colourful as you can. There are loads of dedicated packing cubes that all come in black, but when you're on a flight, you've got limited space, even in first class, and limited light because the cabin lights go down. It can be really surprisingly difficult to find things. So when you're on the land now and it's bright and it's sunny, well, you think, well, what is this ridiculous woman talking about? Of course I can find things in my bag. But in a flight, it's much harder. So, you know, when I see this bright gold thing, I know that's my sleep kit. So when I'm ready to go to sleep, or try, which is when the cabin lights go out and the staff tell you to try, because that's going to be the quietest, darkest time on the plane, then I just pull this out and I'm ready to go. Now, my secret ingredient for sleeping, and the one that really, really changed everything, may not be for everyone, but if you're less than 6 foot tall, which is about what the aeroplane seats seem designed for, it will be a miracle. And that is to create your own footstool. What? Create your own footstool. So that, let me show you, that's better. Here is a larger toiletry bag, okay, around the size of a footstool. And I put in here everything that I'm gonna have on my long haul flight that I don't really need. So these, in here goes everything that I know I have for worst case scenarios. So medicine, spare clothes, what to do, you know, if the flight gets cancelled, or my insurance details, things like that. Any spare jumpers, fill it up, and so it's quite firm, and then put it on the floor and put my feet on it. okay, just like a footstool. That way I can nudge my knees up against the seat in front of me without being annoying to the person in front of me, and I can lie and get some sleep that way. It stops my it stops my knees jerking about, my back jerking about, and it just means that it's closer to actually lying down and getting some rest. So I highly, highly, highly recommend it. It will change your life more than you can imagine. And then the final bit for sleeping, which I did forget to mention, of course, is a travel pillow, because that stops your head from doing that jolt that keeps waking you up as well. Travel pillows can go all out, all right? You can get these ones, it's like a massive pillow with a handle. It's lovely material. This is a great brand. And oh, it's so soft and comfortable. You can use it when you get to your hotel as well. But it's obviously big and bulky. You can stick it outside your hand luggage. It comes with a bag like this, but ultimately you can just have too many things to carry. In which case, next best, and it's really quite good anyway, is one of the inflatable travel pillows. Here is an inflatable travel pillow. Again, there's nothing special about it really. It blows up like an armband would at the swimming pool. It goes round. You do want one that's going to go round your neck, okay, nice horseshoe shaped. And if it doesn't feel comfortable this way round, because you'll hit your neck against the seat behind you, here's a top tip: blow it up and have it this way round. Then it's going to stop your head nodding when you're sat in the seat, but you still have a nice clean line against the chair behind you there. I do like this one actually because it comes with a nice fabric t-shirt material kind of covering, so you can wash it, so it's always going to smell fresh and nice, and it's a bit kinder on your skin than some of the synthetic ones. And again, with a lot of static and all the time you're in that one position, these little things can make you feel much more comfortable and have a much better flight. Now I want to talk about food and drink, because a key part of wellness is being well fed and well hydrated. So the first thing that I would highly recommend you do is get a water bottle. These ones are very popular now. You can reuse them. They keep cold, they keep warm, and they don't burn you. On the last time I flew, I was allowed to take this, even though it's quite large. Through security, it had to be empty. They did check that, but it's great to see that more and more airports are having water fountains, because, you know, who wants to keep buying plastic bottles? None of us, for many reasons. When you're on the flight, I'd really recommend that you ask the cabin crew to help you fill it up with water at a good point. So before they get really busy doing the service or going on their breaks or things like that. Because the easiest way to get dehydrated on a flight, and you will get dehydrated, you need to drink more when you're flying, is to just kind of get stuck with British politeness, really. Only notice when you run out of water and then the cabin crew are really busy, and then you wait and you wait, and then you've already got dehydrated and a headache. So always carry a water bottle, fill it up whenever you can, and of course be sensible. If you're going somewhere where the tap water is not safe, then don't fill it up there. If you're not sure, then check out your government's health websites and check out the resources I've got on the blog for that, okay? Because it's really important to make sure you're only ever drinking safe, clean drinking water, okay? Now, food. On a long haul flight, most flights should give you some food, okay? But check before you go, because a few airlines are sadly bringing in this idea that actually you have to pay for everything, and they won't always accept all the money. So have a quick check and make sure you've either got cash, card, or food with you. If you've got special dietary requirements, most airlines will cater towards those, but you have to let them know in advance. And I've been on plenty where things have gone wrong, where they've run out of special food. This was me for a while whilst I was recovering from a food bug, and one thing I will mention, it will seem a bit extreme to some of you and it will totally make sense to the rest of you, is to bring your own food. And what I think is a good travel food is this. So you can buy packets of couscous. Here's one, just Sainsbury's is a local UK supermarket, so it's nothing really special or difficult to track down, but they're lightweight like this. They're allowed to go in everything, and they come with their own flavours or seasonings, so it doesn't feel quite so bland. What you need is some hot water and a cup, okay? So it's kind of a glorified pot noodle, but they do actually taste decent. It's not a weird thing. It's normal couscous that will rehydrate. That's how you cook couscous. So if you're confident you're going to have those, then put a packet or two of these in if you've got special dietary requirements. If you're not confident, and I've also got stuck traveling somewhere before, then I have this bag. The bag's nothing special, it's what's inside. That is a miniature travel kettle. Okay, look at the size of it compared to my head. And then a thermos cup like this. All right, so this is basically you can have a meal with the packet of couscous, your travel kettle, and your insulated thermal cup. Take a full set of cutlery with you because not all hotel rooms have some, and then you're covered for everything. If you arrive at 2 a.m. in a hotel and there was nothing you could eat on the flight, and there was nothing when you get to the hotel, because even the nicest hotels, sometimes the restaurants close and all they've got is a cheese and gluten thing that you can't have, then this will save you. So it's really, really worth it if you have dietary trouble. Next up, hey, let's talk about toiletries. So you can really go to town with these, or you can keep it simple. I quite like keeping things simple, so that's what I'm going to do. First up, ladies, just remember sanitary protection, okay? Tampons, sanitary towels, and little plastic bags to tie them up in, scented or not, up to you. A 12-hour flight is not the time to realise that your period has just started, okay? So always check the calendar and pack accordingly. When it comes to talking about toiletries when you fly, don't forget everything has to fit into this size bag. You can normally get those bags at the airport, but some airports will charge you money, and so it's often useful, particularly if you're a frequent traveller, to have your own supply. If you rely on a lot of toiletries and you only have the bigger samples and you want to be very specific, then you're going to have to start in advance to get the smaller bottles to pour them into. Otherwise, if you've left it all to the last minute, don't worry, most airports will sell travel-sized smaller bottles. You can really go to town with toiletries and take everything with a kitchen sink. I don't bother, so for me, particularly things like makeup, even when I need it for work, I will take a risk and put it in the hold because I know that I can buy some more. Okay, I'm lucky, my skin isn't particularly sensitive, so I don't need to worry about that. What I do is I take eye drops. It gets very dry in the flight and you're often tired, or you didn't have a good night's sleep before you left, you're on the flight for a long time. Eye drops can be a saver. Tub of Vaseline. Lots of people get expensive moisturizers and lip balms and all sorts of other things. Really, I have one of this, and it's a travel-sized tub and it does for everything. And it's also particularly useful if you're traveling with kids because you can use it for their sore noses and nappy changes and all sorts of things. Okay, so one tub goes a long way. I have a tiny little tube of sunscreen because if you're by the window and there's a lot of bright sun, it can be quite harsh. If you land somewhere, you might be waiting on the tarmac, or if someone's lost your luggage, then if you have skin like mine, it's going to burn in less than 20 minutes. So I always have to have a little tube with me. Hand sanitizer. Let me say this. Most of the time you really don't need it. Washing your hands with soap and water, and this is from a medical point of view, is the most important thing you can do. The sanitizer will kill some bugs after that, but if you don't wash your hands properly with soap and water, then there's no point using this. So wash your hands and then keep this for, well, if you can't wash your hands, this might help. Or if you're somewhere where you know you have to be really careful about foodborne diseases. So if you're going to get ill from things you eat and drink, then this can really help. If you are traveling with kids and you're changing nappies a lot, again, this will help. This is much smaller than most of the hand sanitizers I've seen for sale because you really don't need much. Even on a 2-week trip, you won't get through the standard sort of just under 100ml ones. So go for a tiny one. You're more likely to carry it around and actually use it when you need to. If you are a contact lens wearer like me, then contact lenses need to go in the plastic bag. They've got liquid in the packet, and you'll want to take contact lenses with you because you don't want to be blinded when you get to the other end of your trip if your luggage is lost. Then I also carry a mini tube of toothpaste. Okay, the best place to get these is on flights. But if you're going to buy one, go for a small one. It's nice to be able to clean your teeth. And if you don't even have the chance to do that, sometimes just rubbing a bit of toothpaste on your teeth after a long journey can make you feel much better. I'm going to come back again to this idea of smell. It really changes travel for me. So I have it's called Deep Sleep Pillow Spray. It's only 5 mils. So well within your fluid thing, and it's a little spray and it smells of lavender and it's calming and it can help you sleep and it can help you get distracted by other passengers who don't smell so good. If I'm going somewhere where, so look, if I'm going Britain to Paris, then it's not really going to matter. But if I'm going somewhere really cold or really hot, and certainly if I'm going somewhere with a lot of mosquitoes, then I need to think of this. Okay, mosquito spray with DEET. I don't want to get malaria because the airline has lost my luggage. I don't want to get bitten whilst I'm standing on the tarmac. So I have a travel size mosquito repellent all the time. And likewise, a sunscreen. I burn very, very easily, but even if you don't have my white skin, you should also be thinking about protecting your skin to protect against skin cancer as well as aging. Travel size, nice and easy. You saw it all fit into that toiletries bag there, no trouble at all. Health and medication. Now, as a former doctor, I am always very keen on this for all of you. Please make sure you have any prescription drugs with you in your carry-on, come what may, and please make sure that you have the prescription to go for it. Make sure you have enough to last for your whole trip and for a few extra days in case your plane is delayed or something happens, who knows what. So have all of those things. If you're there thinking, well, I'm really lucky, I don't have any medication needs, well, consider these things that might apply differently when you're on holiday. So simple things for a start, like paracetamol and aspirin. If you get a headache, it's just easier to have stuff with you than be trying to find a pharmacy in a different language, or let's face it, on a long haul flight, it could be 10 to 20 hours before you can get anywhere. So paracetamol is always in my hand luggage. A quick break here to say, of course, this isn't medical advice. You need to make sure that you are cleared safely for any of the things that we're talking about here. There's a few people who can't take these tablets, so if that's you, you should know what you can and can't take. Don't listen to somebody random off the internet. That said, when you're traveling, you might have other things to bear in mind. So I love this little pill container. Okay, it fits neatly into my cabin luggage, but also into my hand luggage, and you can put what you need to put in there. So travel sickness pills, does that apply to you? Lactose pills, okay, lactase enzyme in case you're lactose intolerant. Are there things like antihistamines if you're going somewhere where you're likely to get bitten, even though you should take your bug spray and cover up? Then are you going to get really itchy? Do you have hay fever? In which case, pack your antihistamines before you go. I would also really recommend, unless you have any reason why you shouldn't, these very glamorous looking flight stockings. These are to reduce the risk of a blood clot in the air. DVT is what the medical term is, deep venous thrombosis. And the real risk is that you get the swollen calf, the clot is there, and then it breaks off and flies off into your lungs or up into your head. And that causes really big problems. So these are sized. They don't look very glamorous, but it really doesn't matter. They go on under almost every trousers. They're really quite comfortable. I wore them particularly after surgery and whilst I was pregnant when my risk was higher. You can get into trouble if you wear the wrong size, so do check the size patterns on the packet. But they wash, they're not too bad. Most people won't even notice you're wearing them. I just put them up there as a strong and helpful suggestion. Finally, under the healthcare tag, I would have a plaster or band-aid just in case you have a mild cut, tissues in case you get a cold, and what I use is a brand called Compeed. It's blister protection because I almost always get a blister when I travel. I don't understand it. It's the same shoes that I might wear all the time at home. I go traveling and instantly I'm getting a blister because your feet will swell up or reduce down in the flight, and they get puffy or they get hot, and then you're walking more or less or differently to usual on the cobbles versus the conveyor belt. So I always just have a plaster and Compeed anti-blister protection with me when I travel. On to some flight odds and ends now. I mentioned earlier if you wear contact lenses to pack some, but it's a good idea to take glasses with you as well. The air gets very dry on a long haul flight, and I find it's helpful to take my contact lenses out pretty much as soon as I'm on the plane and put my glasses on instead. It's just a much more comfortable flight. If you're going to do that, then you need a glasses case, because when you put your contact lenses back in or when you're going through the airport, you don't want your prescription glasses just getting crushed in your hand luggage. So I like the hard one because it won't get crushed like this, snaps shut. It's also a good example for me because, again, it's nice and easy to find in the gloom of the cabin, particularly when you don't have your glasses or contact lenses in and you're looking for it, okay? It stands out in the gloom. Also, if you're from somewhere with no sunshine like I am in Britain, then don't forget to pack these, your sunglasses. Now, you can pack a hard case for sunglasses, but because they're often much bigger than normal glasses, the hard cases take up a lot of space. So for sunglasses, I find a nice handy flat case like this works wonders, and you can buy them for pence in any pharmacy. Also in the odds and ends category, a luggage label, preferably the cheerier the better, but you've got to stick within, you know, if you're on a business trip and you need to look suitably serious, then maybe the pineapple won't work. But the advantage of a really bright and distinctive luggage label is it's far less likely someone will take your luggage, okay? If you have to hand over your carry-on because the flight is full or anything like that, and you're just tired and confused, never underestimate how tiring and confusing it can be to get off a long haul flight, then a bright and distinctive luggage label will help. Electronics. Where would we be in this day and age without electronics? Well, you're going to have to bear some things in mind. So many things are stored on our phones now that you really need to make sure you can keep it charged at any time. Lots of airports are introducing charging stations. Oh, my hair's all messed up from another segment where I was demonstrating the hat. But you have to obviously remember to bring a cable. So I always bring one cable just like this. It's got my phone attachment on one end and the USB at the other. And I also bring a charger that's actually got the plug, because you're never sure what you're going to find, USB charge or plug. Also bear in mind that different countries have different electricity systems and you will need different plugs. You can either buy one that just does the country you are to the country you're going. So for example, here's a Britain to EU adapter, okay, 3 prongs for Britain, and then here's 2 for a lot of places in Europe. Or if you travel frequently, then I'd highly recommend getting something like this. This is an international adapter and it's really anything to anything. So let me show you how it works. The button at the side, let's say, let's start again. Right at the start, you can see you fit your main US, Europe or British pronged plugs in here. The button at the side you push in and then zip out what you need to change it to. Like this, okay, if you're going to be going America to UK. And the advantage of this is not its cost, because they're quite pricey, but you only have to remember to buy and pack one. All right, you bought it, you've got it in your packing area, job done. Okay. For electronics, don't forget that electronics can get battered, bashed around, and you don't want yours to break. So make sure you have a nice padded case for your laptop, Kindle, or phone. Here's a case I love for my laptop because it's got a handle. So when I'm going on the plane and I've already got my laptop out, instead of trying to bundle everything up into my arms and risk dropping it when I'm showing my boarding pass and my passport and getting my drink of water, I can just hold it like that. It's also got zips across here for wires and smaller bits and pieces, card readers for photography, that kind of thing. Nice and padded inside, love it. And if you're thinking of a Kindle, because I'd always recommend you have something to read, I just want to show you, this is the Kindle Paperwhite. This is the kind of size. I bought the case. I do like blue. And you can store as many books as you like on there, basically. You do need to keep it charged. but it's nice and lightweight, goes into the laptop case, no problem at all. More odds and ends I have here to recommend to you. Number one is another bag. So my family laugh at me all the time for bags, but you know, I live on bags. I travel the world all the time, so bags are important to me. Carrying things is important. If you're going somewhere lovely where you're going to be swimming, then have your swimsuit or bikini or whatever handy in your hand luggage. So if your luggage is lost, you can jump straight into the pool. And then at the end of your trip, if your luggage is being gathered up, you can have a last minute swim. And what I've found helpful for that are these wet bags. So useful in your carry-on, but also they are waterproof bags basically. So you put your wet swimsuit in there, you roll it over like this, wet anything, but hopefully it's just going to be a swimsuit. And then you put the clips together like that. And the clip holds this in a waterproof seal, and the wet things in here won't spread across the rest of your luggage, hand luggage or otherwise. So that is a really useful thing. I also recommend just having a folding bag with you in case you want to buy anything at the airport, or when you get on the plane, it's helpful to have everything you actually want in the seat immediately in one quick to use bag, rather than having to unpack your suitcase and hold everybody up in the delay. So you can have a simple folding tote bag like this, or I also really like this, particularly for more family travel when you've got a lot more things to carry and you need your hands. It's a little folding rucksack, and it goes, let's see, and look, it folds down just to that. And it's really useful either during the flight or as a day pack afterwards when you want to get things in different sections. If you are going somewhere where it's going to be really wet, you might want a lightweight folding mat. If you're going somewhere really sunny, you don't want to be getting heat stroke. You can have a beautiful straw hat, but bear in mind that it might get crushed in the overhead locker, and it's really easy to leave at luggage, or if you need both hands for any reason, it's just quite likely to get lost. This is not as fashionable, but will still keep you healthy and safe from the sun. It's a folding hat, it crumples right the way down. It doesn't matter what you do with it. You can shove it in the bottom of the bag or your suitcase, whatever, and it'll come back to life. And it goes on like this. And here's the killer bit. Honestly, all these things, you think this is madness, but when you're in the right situation, it's genius. It attaches like this. So when you're on a boat transfer and it's really, really windy and you're in the tropics and you're actually going to get heat stroke and ruin the first day of your trip, something simple like this, it's attached to your head, it's going to protect you from the sun. Job done. Will lead to a much better trip. Another useful thing to have on a flight can be a scarf. It's obviously useful because it can go around your neck and you can get a lot of drafts from the overhead jets during a flight, but it has other benefits too. If it's lost luggage, you can double it up as a sarong. You can use it to tie things together. If a strap breaks, you can use it as a sort of makeshift harness if you need to for your kids. All kinds of things, really. You sort of embrace your inner Scout or Crocodile Dundee with a scarf, or if all else fails and the Crocodile Dundee action has worn out, you can just snuggle up like that. Use it as a pillow. I'm now going to share with you one of the most ridiculous examples of things to go on a long haul flight. But if you're going to do any wildlife watching, then camouflage clothes are a good idea if you're going on safari anywhere, because you don't want to frighten away the wildlife. You do want to hide. But this one has a hidden, if ever you're stuck with somewhere and they're being really awkward about the hand luggage limits and they're going to say, oh, it's 5 kilos or 8 kilos and you've got a ton of stuff, then this is super lightweight and an easy way to get away with it. So all you do is, she says, fumbling with the zip it up like this. Now let's put the camera down. Da-da-da. And you have all these pockets there for your delectation. So you can put your heavy camera exchange and toiletries in one bag and ta-da! Your weight is down, but you still got everything to go on the flight that you need. Hey, and I think that if you travel with a baby, that deserves a video of its own. So we'll run a different one of those. If you're traveling with kids though, there are lots of things you can do to make life easier. So once they've got a seat of their own, or they're 18 months, then here are some great sort of toys. Number one, lightweight books, particularly colouring books or sticker books. You can eke out the stickers during the flight, so every couple of hours give them another page. I would highly suggest that you don't produce all your toys at once. Keep some hidden away, because kids are, get just more restless than us grown-ups, and they get more restless earlier on. So you want to be able to keep them entertained all the way through. So don't play all your cards at once. Keep some things up your sleeve. Another great thing that even it's not just toddlers, older kids really like, is an aquadoodle. You can get a travel aquadoodle like this that has suitcase handle, and of course the joy of it is it's aquadoodles. So there's a water-based pen. They draw on here and it dries up. There's no mess, there's no worrying about them drawing on the plane or scribbling on the next door neighbours or anything like that. Make sure that you bring enough snacks and water for kids. Don't rely on the cabin crew having to do it, because they have to do it in a fixed order. They have to go down the whole flight and your kids might have just lost the plot by then. So pack plenty of snacks that aren't going to melt, so no chocolate. In fact, I'd really avoid sweets. Kids get really hyper and there's nowhere for them to run it off. Often most people use a screen or tablet as the sort of last resort for keeping kids entertained. If you're going to do that, then I would highly suggest that you get some kids ear headphones, ear protectors. We use these with Baby Lab. They come with a little bag there, and they just protect their ears from getting too loud, and they protect everybody else from the noise, okay? Because it's really, really annoying when parents let kids just play the same tune and jingle and cartoon over and over again with the noise out to the rest of the cabin. It's just awful. Don't do it. Finally, my hidden secret, because I've got a whole extra section on traveling with kids, and this is already becoming an epic video, but it's a little makeshift thing I thought I should show you. It's, again, it's a bag you can easily see in the dark. It's a silver zip bag. I can't remember where I got it now, but you can buy stuff like this in almost any chemist. And what I've done is put a little loop and a ribbon on the back, so you can tie it onto the front of the chair behind you. So this is the back of the person's chair in front, goes like this. You can tie a hook, attach it like this, and then you've got all your flight essentials. It's the same for grown-ups too, but most importantly with kids, in this zip bag. So you're not having to keep getting them off your lap to try and reach down amongst your knees to reach for a snack or their favourite toy or something like that. You've got them all on hand. So thank you for watching through that rather epic post at what you can take in a flight to be more comfortable and productive. I hope it was helpful to you. If you are feeling a bit overwhelmed, you can obviously all just watch it again, or over on the blog I've got a list where it's all written down. You can download this as a printable. It's got shopping links if there's something you want to buy. It's got review links if you thought, I'm not sure about that, I want a little bit more detail, can you tell me? And yeah, it's got lots on other places around the world, other travel tips. I really hope you have a great flight. Remember, the point of travel is to have a more meaningful life, to have more meaningful experiences with people in other places and then with you. So for all the talk about what it is to get there safe, sound and not too frazzled on the flight, don't forget the bigger picture, and that is to have great journeys, travels and memories. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Abby. This is Inside the Travel Lab. Check out our whole library of free resources for you to help you travel better and more meaningfully just down below. Thanks for watching. Bye.